Hi, Mohini,
Good
can we start?
afternoon. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series, our endeavor to impart techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is why search is so important in SharePoint 2013. Our guest speaker today is Mr. Sumit Chaudhary, Lead Software Architect at Tieto. Sumit is a senior level software architect with 12 plus years of professional experience in leading design and development of software systems. He has a strong background in building solutions, logical and physical architectures for SharePoint-based collaboration and internet deployments. Sumit attended the University of Indore, where he received Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and then Master of Computer Applications. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Sumit.
Hi, can you hear me now clearly?
Yes, you are audible.
Mohini has already introduced me, so I'll just start the presentation. Today's topic, which has been published, you must have read about search-driven sites or more about search, but I just wanted to focus on the one topic, which is search-driven content publishing. So today's agenda would be, as I said, would be search-driven sites, search-driven publishing, and a small demo which I have prepared. The demo is pre-recorded, but just to save some time. So just excuse me for that. What is a search-driven site? If I'll just show an example what we use in Tieto. We have our intranet. As you can see, the screen I'm sharing. This is our intranet. So Tieto is a company and has offices around Northern Europe and Asia. So we have office in Pune, India. We have in Europe, Finland, Norway, Stockholm. So when I come every morning, I log into our intranet. What I see is, based on my location, I see local content, local news. When I say a news, something published locally by authors in Pune or editors in Pune, or a global news which is coming from everywhere, which is coming from Tieto office Finland, Tieto office Stockholm, and Tieto office Norway. What you see in front of you is not exactly 2013, but it's again search driven. The reason I've shown you this slide is just to give an example. What is a search driven site? You see all these elements here, last 7 days, what is hot, everything, what you see in front of you can be search driven, and that to be using SharePoint 2013. So that's what I meant by, just wanted to define what I thought of a search driven site. Why search-driven sites? I think most of us, if people in this webinar, if they are working or they have been working in SharePoint, you must have customers who are using SharePoint for their intranet, for their team site, or some of them may be using for some internet sites. Most of the time we have certain requirements that comes from that. I want to share certain content which I published at somewhere the source, but I need to share this content somewhere else as well. The typical way in 2007 or 2010 was to write a custom code to do so. What we call is cross-site collection publishing or cross-site content publishing, which we used to do using some way of search component that comes with SharePoint 2010. Content query web part we used to have we still have in 2010, which cannot do cross-site collection. So that's where we had a limitation to address certain business requirements. Dynamic publishing, it's again if you subscribe to certain content elements on certain sites, and then you want those content to be shown at the target sites. The example could be anything. If I switch back to our example, which is Theato Intranet, could be service alerts, could be activities which you see in front of you that needs to be published, or you may have certain kind of information alerts you would like to publish globally. So when I say globally here, I'm taking the example of Theato, which I just explained it to you, that if there is an alert, or maybe this network is down in Theato today. So how do we send alerts? We send alerts so that the alerts can be published to all Theato sites. When I say Theato sites, Theato Pune, Theato Finland, Theato Norway, Theato Stockholm. Again, many times the third bullet point talks about separation of presentation from storage. It's many times you do not want to copy the content from if you want to share the content. So in 2007, for example, if you have a requirement, if let's say that in a typical intranet environment where if a news has been published at maybe in the example I've given is Theato Stockholm, but Theato Pune would like to share this information as well on their landing page or the portal page, I should say. How do they do that? The typical way is to either get the content, copy the content at the repository where Theato Pune editors put their content, or rewrite everything from scratch at the target site, which is Theato Pune. This is again the point which I have just said is for the end users, but behind the scene, you do not want to replicate content or keep the same copy of content at multiple locations. When I say this, that means each site or its site collection, and you have each site collection has content databases. So why to have redundancy? And how do we avoid that? So the concept called search-driven sites helps us address this problem, or helps us keep storage separate from the presentation. Now, the next slide I have is it talks about what is there behind the scene in 2013 that helps us create SharePoint-driven sites and how SharePoint drives it. As I said, the topic of this webinar was search-driven. in 2013, everything in terms of content publishing, content sharing, it can be search driven. When I say can be, it doesn't mean that it has to be. You can always go the older way of getting content and structuring your intranet or internet sites based on SharePoint. That you can still do that, but there is a better way of doing it. As I said earlier, why we need SharePoint-driven sites, search-driven sites. You see the components here. The most important component is index, search index. You all know that the search has been re-architected in 2013. I'll not take the topic because search topic itself is a big is a bigger one that requires us to have one more webinar, I think. So the behind the, if you see this whole architecture, everything is search driven. When I say you can crawl your external content, you can crawl your SharePoint content, which are documents, pages, digital assets, catalogs. I'll come back to catalog. Catalog is a new concept in 2013. But on later slides, I will explain what I mean by catalogs. So you see this line here. Left side of this line, left to me, is actually your where the content is residing, and the right side is the publishing side. How do you publish the content? The green ones you see are all kind of behind the scene elements. Everything is behind the scene elements, but these are the elements which helps us create search driven sites. For example, query rules, recommendations, web art framework, page framework, SharePoint APIs. I'll just talk briefly about this query rules and recommendations. You saw the Tieto site which I've shown you. I'll just switch it back to the site. It's called, if you see this part, it says last 7 days. What's hot? Last 30 days. Right. What is this? These are, in a typical way, these are recommendations. What I'm trying to say here, what Tieto portal is trying to say is what is hot in last 7 days and last 30 days. How do you achieve this? How do you implement this kind of functionality or features in 2013? SharePoint 2013 Search has built-in components. We call it analytics. If you have seen Search, the new Search architecture, it has analytics components as well. So this built-in component inside SharePoint Search gives us that kind of capability to implement recommendations and most popular things that we were not able to do in 2010. We could have done in 2010, but we had to write a custom code. What I've just shown you, although it's not 2013 based, but the same functionality can be achieved completely out of the box using SharePoint 2013, where you don't have to write any custom code. All you have to do is add a web part, change your query, which I'll show you in my next of the slides which are coming up. So this gives us everything out of the box. You don't have to write any custom code. Query rules is again part of the same concept, where, for example, when you search something about sales, you must have read a lot of web blogs about this concept around query rules. But I'm just trying to explain if others, you may have not read those blogs, but query rules are again a way to, in a way, this says I want to search something about sales. and my requirement says that when somebody writes the keyword sales, then there should be a block should come up and should show you only Excel reports based on Excel files. How do we achieve that? And again, you don't have to write any custom code for it. There's a concept called query tools that can be used to achieve that functionality. So that's again this part I was trying to explain about, which is part of, or I should say, subcomponent of the search architecture. But there are other parts as well. So this is search, but how do you plug in the pages, and the pages are going to help you. Just give me a second. So see, the publishing side again, to achieve the functionality which I just explained, you need components that help you implement those functionalities. So there are certain components that have been introduced in SharePoint 2013 that can be used. So a few of my next slides will explain what those components are. Yeah. So the slide I was talking about. How do you make this happen? How do you make a search-driven site? Or the other component I explained that search has built-in architecture. Search architecture gives you the plumbing parts, but how do you add those parts? How do we, as for end users, how do you handle that? And how do you make search-driven sites? So the slide you see in front of you, I mentioned 6 important components. Query rules, I've already explained. I tried to explain. Content by search web parts. This everybody knows this word or this component, content by search web parts. This web part is, again, you can say, think about it, it's extend what content query web part used to do. Content query web part was not search based, but this is search based. All you're doing is using the display templates, query builder, you're writing and telling a web part or configuring the web part to get the content from anywhere using search. When I say anywhere, I meant, if you go back to the slide, it could be any external content here, and it could be any SharePoint content. It could be cross-site collection, same site, cross SharePoint farm as well. Query builder, I'll show you in my next demo that what I mean by query builder. Query builder is, again, you can think of if you have you're used to write SQL statements, but again there's a built-in or browser-based tool within SharePoint that allows you to write search queries to get content. I mean, it's has not been well documented. I think Microsoft is trying to write documents about this, but it's still you can do a lot of things using query builder. When I say a lot of things, that means you can think of why we are having this topic. So these are the core elements. 6 elements are very core elements to achieve or to build a search-driven site. Query rules I've spoken to. Content catalog is again a new concept. You can think of content catalog as like this, that so there are 2 ways to use reuse content. Either you publish at the source, and the same content should be surfaced at the destination. So I have a slide, next slide. I'll show you what I mean by this. So for example, cross-site publishing you see here. So Kyoto events, for example, events. So events are typical events like something is happening in the fill-in office. Could be a discussion about SharePoint. Could be a discussion about ski competition, world ski competition. So catalog is again kind of a repository. It could be a list. It could be a library. You can define as a catalog. If you understand the dictionary meaning of catalog, this is what it is. So you created something and you want to share across different sites. So in this example, if you see the slide, I have created events. I want to publish those events to the publishing sites as well, and the publishing site in India. How this is done? Again, it's search driven and term store. Term store one again is managed navigation or managed metadata. I'll come to that managed metadata topic as well, but I'm not going to talk more a lot about managed navigation because again, as I said, managed navigation or managed metadata or taxonomy, whatever you want to call it, requires us to have a completely separate webinar. So combination of, if I move back, combination of all 6 elements helps you achieve a search-driven site. Managed navigation again, as I said, there are a lot of new concepts around managed navigation that, so there used to be, earlier we used to have structured navigation where everything has to be, if you have to have global navigation or current navigation, the menu items has to have either a page or a site. You have to create a site for to do things. Example could be, so let's say you have your on your top menu. Let me share my screen again. So for example, you have my work global navigation item. Now you have childs of my work, or in technical terms you can say second level menu items here. When I click something here, I always go to a site or a page. But what if I say that everything under my work could be a single page? And when I click something here, I get, although it will be a single page, which is tagged for multiple items, but content gets refreshed when you click different menu items. For example, although what I'm showing you is not exactly SharePoint based, but just to explain the concept. That for all these menu items, I do not have to create a separate page. I can have a single page, which is thumbs ribbons, or you must have what called friendly URLs, or you call it FURL, false. So the combination of search, managed navigation, or taxonomy helps us create a very flexible, very dynamic site. When I say flexible, it means if you don't have to go and make sure that you have to build a custom navigation. Everything is driven by, or you don't have to create a custom what we call it navigation provider to quickly change what we want. So everything is terms driven, or as it says, managed navigation. When I say managed navigation, you can create term search in a term store and have them available for navigation. I think I'm just reaching to the last slide. And you must have heard this word called cross-site publishing, and I'll explain why we need cross-site publishing and how can we have or can cheat this. I have a demo, a very simple demo, where I want to show you again using CBS web path how can we share content. So in my scenario, again, as I said, the scenario is that Tieto has multiple locations. So Tieto has a global location where content is published, authored here, and the authored content should be shown on Tieto Finland's publishing site. Or when I say publishing, when I say Tieto Finland Infonet site and Tieto Infonet India site. I have recorded this demo just to save time, as I said it earlier. So if you have any questions, I can answer it maybe after the demo when we have our QA session. So here is the Tieto global site where the scenario I've taken is events. So I'll be somebody at the global Tieto global site will be creating events. When I say somebody from global, mostly content editors, they will be creating events. So I'll start the demo here. All you see is out of the box. Everything is out of the box. I'm just trying to create an article page, which actually I'm trying to say that's an event. Adding some content. You see SharePoint conference has shown up here on the left hand side global, but I moved to Tieto Finland. It was not there. When I refresh it, Tieto Finland, it shows up there. As I said, it was recorded, so you could see that it came up very quickly, but it's not the case. You always have to remember. So every function could have some limitations as well. In this case, we call it index latency. So when I added the content to the event, content gets added to the pages library. It needs to be crawled by search. So incremental crawl is set for 5 minutes. You'll have to wait for 5 minutes to for content to show up on your publishing sites. So you saw it quickly, but it was just the recorded version, and that's why it came up instantly. I just wanted to show you about content by search web path. So I have added this web path, which is content by search web path. So this is I was talking about query builder. This is how you write a query. If you understand this, if you can understand this, Here, this path is actually a property. What you're saying is that I want to get content from this path, and space is always treated as and. It's not a piping function, but it's and content type should be this. I can have many things defined here. When I said define here, I could have something called more query variables, where I can say that I want content from this side, but not from this side. So for that, there are certain out-of-the-box query variables that can be used here. These are placeholders. So let's move on and see. There are some other things I would like you to see. So these are the properties. As I said, these are managed properties. I'm not sure if you all know, but I'll explain what managed properties are. So typically, the way you can relate managed properties is basically you have your lists, pages. Each list and page has some certain columns. When search crawls it, search creates it's called crawl properties. Those crawl properties are mapped to managed properties. That's where search get indexed. Search index is it has managed properties. And what you are saying is you're asking, for example, in this case, get me content types which has this ID. So in my demo, I have set the content type. I'm saying that I need to show article content types. Let's move on. As I said, there are lists of managed properties that can be used here. This is again source. Refiners are again a new concept, and this is something called ranking model. So you saw this example I shown you about Tieto, that last 7 days news or events or last 30 days. So you can use ranking model, combination of ranking model, and that's again a built-in. These are not managed properties. They are different kind of properties that you can use to have sorting based on, as I said, show me events in last 30 days or last 7 days. Yeah, here is a popular ranking model and recommended ranking model you see. This one is recommended recommender ranking model, popular ranking model that can be used to achieve again what I showed you earlier. Okay, so this was all about this I wanted to show you. I think I'm done. So I think I finished earlier than expected. So Mohini, I'm open for, I'm ready for a question if anybody has any. Hello?
Thank you so much for the presentation, Mr. Sumit. I've assigned you some questions. Can you see them?
Hi. Let me go one by one. Cross-site content publishing. The question has been asked, or as question is cross-site content publishing, content sharing. Can you explain again in brief? I'll show my screen if I can. Let me share my screen again, and then I can explain what I mean by cross-site content sharing. Can you see my screen? Okay. Mohini, am I sharing my screen? Is my screen visible? Okay. Cross-site content sharing, as I said, if event in my example has been published or uploaded at this site. So this is something where Tieto Global, this is just assume that this is a global site. Address is Tieto/events, where people sitting in the Tieto headquarters are publishing some events. That means, in technical terms, they are creating, adding items in an event list, which is inside this SharePoint site called events. Now, if I make that events list a catalog, catalog will be search crawled by search, and at the publishing sites level, I can show the same content using search. When I say using search, basically using writing, you can at the publishing site, I can add a content by search web path to surface the content, the same content. I'm not copying the content here. It's just showing the content as is here. Let me check the next question here. How is it different from federated search? Federated search is again, federated search is a search concept. What we are talking about is content, cross-site content sharing or search-driven sites. When I say search federated search, that means my search can use an index created by some other search engine. It could be. But to me, federated search is a different context. So, though index created by search, federated search can be used for this purpose as well. So, if I have answered your question, so I'll move to the next one. Can we integrate SharePoint 2013 to SAP with search components? That I'm not sure, but there are ways you can extend existing search to crawl content which are coming from external sources. I think there is a plugin that can be used. I think plugin doesn't come from Microsoft, but there is a plugin that helps you crawl content from SAP. In fact, there is there is a very well-defined roadmap of integrating SAP and SharePoint. The next one, how can you tell me where all these data can be stored? I don't understand which data. It's asked by Mayuri Tikale. If I understand your question correctly, the data can be stored in SharePoint. As I said earlier, it could be external, but SharePoint has a way of crawling. SharePoint has built-in, we call it iFilters, a protocol available out of the box, but not for all external systems. Somebody has asked for SAP, but there is no component to crawl SAP content out of the box. But there are some plugins you can buy, a third-party plugins. The same question you asked Mayuri, it's the same. It can be stored. If it's stored in SharePoint, then it's out of the box. You don't have to buy any plugin. How does next question I have from Dhaval Said says, how does recommendation work? As I said, new architecture has a component called analytics. We don't have time in this presentation to explain about analytics, but analytics allows you to analytics creates certain reports about so-called usage reports. You must have heard about Google Analytics. It's very similar to that, but it's again, as I said, it's built in as part of the Sage search. And as I've shown you, ranking models and things like that, that allows you to use built-in feature. For example, in my example, I've shown how do we show last 30. There was an example about this, last 30 days events or last 7 days events. But you can also achieve a few more things. Like for example, you are on sports news. Example, you go to CNN, IBN, or Times of India site. If you click on sports, and you are in Times of India, and you read an article about sports, some article about Sachin Tendulkar, but at the same time on your right hand side you see certain recommendations that okay, here is Sachin's son's photo, here is Sachin's wedding photographs. Things like that can also be achieved. Again, using all those components, for example, manage metadata, search, and obviously search, but search has different components as well called analytics. You can do that. The next question is, I heard there is a new concept of e-discovery in SharePoint search. E-discovery, it's not new in SharePoint, but in 2013 it has been extended. It was there in 2010 as well. And the next question from Mayuri, is there any database management system? SharePoint uses SQL Server as a backend. The next question I have, Query Builder web part uses for custom list data search. Query Builder is not a web part, but it's a tool to build queries that your content by search web parts uses. What is the purpose of SharePoint? Okay, I have this question from Riju. SharePoint is, for example, I'll ask you if, let's say, Riju, if you're working in your company and your company asks you to create a site where, or any tool that helps them share documents and built-in features like versioning and things like that. How do you, if I asked you what do you do, a classical way would be for you, and there are many requirements like that. It should be secured, it should not be accessed by outside, it should have built-in features like versioning, things like that. That's collaboration, but at the same time you want to have features like creating intranets. Think about how you, today's intranet you see, how could have created using without SharePoint, using JSPs, ASP, you have to build everything from scratch. SharePoint gives you a platform which has built-in services. I hope I have answered your question, Riju. I have one more question from how can search content in SharePoint? I think question is wrong. I won't be able to answer it. What is the learning curve? Time to learn of SharePoint, develop the application. Learning curve in SharePoint you have different. There are different. If you are talking in terms of building your skill sets, there are different streams within SharePoint. You can, as I said, SharePoint is a platform. Although it's not been called platform, but it's a platform. There are different things you can do in SharePoint. If you are good in .NET, then you can write. So you have a better way of writing some web parts and things like that. Nowadays, you have to know a lot about PowerShell if you are not a SharePoint front-end developer. Then you have different things. You have business business intelligence, if you are interested in that. If you know SQL Server reporting services, SQL Server integration services, and things like that, then yes, you. Or if I come back to your question, learning curve cannot be. In my view, it takes time. So it cannot be done in 1 month or 2 months. So it takes time to be an expert in SharePoint. Not in every stream in SharePoint, but yeah, at least you need 1 or 2 years. I have a question from Mayuri Tikale. Is there any analysis engine to separate the data? Separate data, I don't understand why you would like to separate the data. But if you mean by analysis of data in terms of usage analysis, yes, there's a built-in component called analytics. And if you're talking in terms of business intelligence, then you have different components within SharePoint that allows you to build business intelligence sites or sites for business intelligence purposes. I have the next question. I have a lot, but I am trying to answer one by one. From Double Said, by search driven, you mean when I am creating some content events, I don't know about any tags. How will I share the content with us? It doesn't have to be. If it's not tagged, if you saw my example, as I said, tagging also can be done. If you tag a component and in your search query, you can write that show me content which has been tagged with this term. You can do that, but it doesn't have to be tagged always. You can say that I need content which has been created using article content type from a specific site. So you don't have to tag it. How the cross-site publishing useful for a dynamic? Musharraf Sharif asking how the cross-site publishing useful for a dynamic website. Sorry, I didn't understand your question, so I'm going to skip this. If we configure incoming email to document library, can we search email in the document library using SharePoint search with its content and attachments? Email can be searched, but the scenario you have said not that way. But yes, you can crawl your Exchange server. SAP with SharePoint interactions by Duet Enterprise. Can I have any other? Yeah, Praveen, I think you already know. I don't know anything else other than Duet. There are a lot of tools. I have a question here from Bala. Do we have anything similar to SharePoint apart from Microsoft? Yes, we do have. You have from IBM, WebSphere Portal. You have Plumtree, and you have small, not exactly very similar to what SharePoint gives you, but small web authoring and content sharing, not content sharing, but web authoring tools. There are a couple of open source tools as well. Hi Moni, I think I've answered. I've tried to answer all of them, hopefully. Hope my answers are correct.
Well, thank you so much for your insights, Mr. Sumit. I'm really thankful to you for conducting this webinar. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for the support in making this webinar a success. The recording of this session would be available on techgeek.com by evening. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.